Alright everyone, welcome to my first video. I'm going to be painting this MDF PP2 helmet, or the Prototype 2 helmet. The MDF is what I know is a lineage helmet, so it's a pretty nice helmet. It was cast quite a while ago. But anyway, we're going to get down to painting. I already have the area masked off. You might have seen it in my last video. I would consider this my first actual video, but I'm going to show you right now what I'm using. So for the green on the back panels, I'm going to use this Floquil Southern Green. And the Floquil paints, they're real nice. That's what they use on a lot of the original Star Wars like props, especially like Boba Fett, but just all the props in general. And these paints are really nice. They're really expensive now. As you can see, they used to be like $2, and now you're lucky to find them for like 20 bucks on eBay. But to me it's worth it because using the old Floquil paints is really the only way to get that nice authentic look. So yeah, these are enamel paints. So we have this enamel paint thinner here. You can just get this at Hobby Lobby or anything. And then I just have like some dropper things, pipettes, and you're gonna want to make sure. What I like to do before I start painting, I'll just like spray some thinner through or some water just to make sure my brush isn't clogged from last time I used it. I'm usually good about cleaning them every time I'm done using them, but sometimes you don't clean it well enough and it doesn't want to spray right off the bat. I already checked mine, it's spraying well, so I'm just gonna get right into the painting. Anyway, sorry the camera was falling. So I'm going to put my mask on. It might be kind of hard to hear me, but I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing while I paint. This isn't going to be too crazy video. I'm just painting on the green on the back panels. I already have everything masked off, as you can see. So put this mask on real quick. So I just use pretty plain old airbrush. Nothing crazy about it. It's a Pasha. I don't remember the exact model, but I don't remember, they're called like 2 points and 1 point airbrush, but this one's just a 1 point, whatever you call it. So basically you just spray and paint and air comes out. On my like Iwata airbrush, you can control the air pressure with the button here. This one's just one spray. We'll give this paint a nice shape. Like I was saying though, sometimes these old Floquil paints, they're really good and they'll stick really well, and other times the paints are just, they've lost all integrity and they just won't stick to whatever you paint. So, but I've already painted with this color, so I know this paint's going to work well. Alright, so what I like to do is I'll take my thinner, I'm going to put this in first, just a tiny bit. You're probably going to want to do about, I don't know, I'd say 4 parts thinner, and then about 5 parts paint. Shake this up again. Just gonna go ahead and fill my airbrush cup up. I'll give it a nice little stir real quick and just get the thinner mixed into the paint. This paint's already pretty thin, so you don't need to put like a crazy amount of thinner, but you do want to have a little bit. I'll put the lid back on. Always make sure you put your lids back on when you're not using them. Spilled a lot of paint, wasted a lot of paint. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and paint. It might be kind of hard to hear me for a second, but yeah, so what you're going to want to do is you want to start with real thin layers of paint and you kind of work your way up. So we'll probably end up having, we'll probably pass by about 3 or 4 times until it's fully covered. So I'll go ahead and show you now. So I'd say it's a pretty good layer right there. You just want a nice thin layer. And then what I like to do is take the heat gun and go ahead and dry it. Alright, so it's going on pretty nicely, as you can see. Like I said, not too crazy of a video, but hopefully you learned something. Make sure you don't hold your heat gun too close. Now if you painted a ROTJ helmet, then the colors for this are pretty much the same. For my ROTJ helmets, I used to do a special mix for the green, but I found recently that the southern green just seems to be pretty perfect on its own, honestly. So I'm giving that a try on this PP2 helmet. Alright, so I'm thinking maybe one more layer after this. One or two more and we'll be good. Now, as always, I'm probably going to have to go back in a little bit with a brush and fix a few little details, but overall, if you really take your time with masking off the layers, you usually be good in the end. I actually need to get a little bit more paint, it looks like. Alright. As you can see, I'm running into the issue where the tip of my airbrush is starting to kind of clog up because the paint's drying real quick. So I'll unclog that real quick. There we go, much better. Alright. But yeah, it's just real important to work in layers. Don't try to go super thick at the start. Because if you try to go super thick at the start, you're going to get real runny paint. The paint's probably not going to stick as well. So yeah, just keep working in layers, layers and layers, until you got it all covered. So I'm thinking that's good. I know it seemed like I sprayed for a while, just trying to get the rest of the paint out of the airbrush there. So it looks pretty dry. I'm going to take them off my mask. So right now I'm going to immediately just want to clean off my airbrush because I don't want that paint to start drying in there. So we're going to get a little bit of paint thinner in there. I'm going to take a Q-tip here. I'm going to kind of swash it around the inside, just get the paint out of the cup here. You can even take a paper towel too. Got over here. I'm just going to get all that excess paint out. Kind of applies when you're changing colors too. Like you just want to make sure to spray clean between each color until your color's spraying clear. we'll take some of this. So we got this airbrush cleaner here. So we'll put some of that in. That's really it. So now we're spraying clear, so we know the inside of the airbrush is clean. I'm gonna give it one more wipe down. I thought I had another Q-tip here. You probably see I got a lot of paint stain on the outside of the airbrush, but usually I'm just more worried about making sure the tip's clear and the inside's clear. If there's paint on the outside, not too worried about that, as long as it sprays. What's nice about these airbrushes, they work really well. I mean, honestly, I use this more than my Iwata airbrush, and this is just a simple, like, I think it was like $45 on Amazon, and this is pretty much the same airbrush they used when they painted the original, like, Star Wars props at ILM. At least from the pictures I've seen, it's pretty much what they used here. Alright, so that's painting the back panels. I'm gonna let this sit for probably a couple hours before I take off the masking fluid, because you can kind of ruin your paint if things aren't dried properly, and it can mess up how you stenciled everything. So usually just let it sit. Some people say a day. I usually just say like a couple hours, and then go over it with your steel wool. And then after that, I would give it at least a couple days, day or two, for the paint to cure before you even touch it or start to put masking tape on it to paint other places. But for now, that's it for the back panels. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this video helped you, and stay tuned for the next one. See ya. Alright, so now that we've let the paint dry, I'm going to go ahead and take off the masking fluid. So what you're going to want for that, an X-Acto knife. It looks kind of gross, but yeah, X-Acto knife. And then some 000, whatever, 4 zeros, grade steel wool or wire wool, for those of you in the UK. And yeah, you want to be really careful because you want to try not to scratch the layer underneath. So preferably a dull X-Acto knife would be better, but yeah, we're just going to be real careful. We're going to go ahead and start taking this off. Might just go ahead and time lapse it here. Try to get a good angle for you, but I also need to try to see at the same time. So you're going to see these white areas. I'll try to show you where my stencil was, and that'll be pretty easy to wipe off. You just take some water and an eraser, and it'll come off, or you can even use like water in your finger. It usually comes off. So when the paint's pretty fresh, you don't want to do this with your finger, but I've let it dry for a little bit, so. Or you can even take this wire wool and just kind of go down with it. Just try to follow how, just try to follow how the masking fluid's wanting to come off. Try not to rip it off, because then you're gonna end up like messing up the paint damage you put. It's not gonna look great. Usually when I'm going through, unless it's like a helmet I've painted a lot, like the Empire Strikes Back helmet or something, like right now I don't really know if everything's coming out how it should until I go back later and look. But overall, if I can see my little white lines, I can see that I followed it pretty well and that the paint's coming off how it should.
Anywhere you go, give it on. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
pretty much got one panel off now, and it's looking really good, honestly. Like, and then once I get all those little white marks erased from the stencil, it's gonna look really good. I'm really happy with this weathering here underneath the green. There's not very many reference images of how it should look, especially for the back panels on the PP2. So I kind of just had to do the best I could. And it looks like I did pretty well, honestly, as far as how it just kind of fades silver. But I guess we'll see. Imagine other painters right now, they're probably like, oh my god, he's using his finger to take this off. Like, everyone's probably having an aneurysm right now. But like I said, if you let it dry enough, it's fine. I'm not rubbing my fingers super hard, I'm just kind of rubbing the surface just to get this off. And I did realize the insides of here on the keyhole area should be gray on these little walls here. So I'm gonna have to go back and make that gray, but for now, it's fine. Not too worried. One thing you gotta know about Fett helmets is, if you really look at them, nothing's really perfect on them. They're pretty much slopped together, just kind of how we do it. Like, you know, of course they were professionals that painted them, but you know, they had a lot of issues painting them too. Like, on some of them, if you look, they had paint hole from masking tape and all kinds of other stuff. So I mean, I just try not to worry about making it too perfect. I mean, I want it to look as accurate as possible, but at the same time, when it comes to making the helmet look realistic or looking accurate, I'm always going to choose realism over making it fully 100% accurate, because I mean, it's really not even possible to make it fully accurate. You'd have to be that person that painted the helmet long ago, like Sandy or Joe Johnston or whatever. Speaks of their names. Overall, this looks good. You know, the wire wool or steel wool is going to leave like tiny little scratches, which is fine, because I mean, it just kind of makes it look more authentic. Like, not like actual scratches, but like you're going to see little scratch areas on the paint. Just fine, because like I said, it makes it look more authentic. You don't want your helmet to be perfect. If it looks too perfect, it doesn't look real and it won't look believable. That's why I say go for realism over perfectly replicating something. Alright, so I'm gonna grab an eraser real quick. But honestly, I just like using my finger because the eraser can leave little weird marks on the paint. So I'll just take my finger. If it's like really having trouble coming off, then I'll come back to the eraser. Hope this was helpful. I know I said I was ending the video when I was done painting it, but I figured I'd throw this into the video. Alright, last thing I want to show you guys. I got most of the little white marks off. As you can see, there's still little spots where there's white marks that kind of being troublesome. So I'll have to go back in and just really work on those. But overall, that's how it's looking so far. Yeah, like I said, I'm just going to have to go back through these little corner areas. You can see I kind of masked it off of there, but I'm going to have to go back and paint this little wall gray. I thought maybe like the other helmets it was supposed to be green on the inside of there, but I don't think it's supposed to be. Or not think, I know it's not supposed to be from the picture I saw. So we're working with, so I'm going to go back through. I have a lot of little damaged pieces to add and probably a little bit of paint, stuff I got to paint in, whatever. But yeah, we're working with so far.